Surviving in crypto is the single most underrated achievement, and that counts for companies, for traders, investors, for founders, for coins, for every market participant and every asset in our beloved industry. Example, if somebody catches 100x and posts publicly about that, the public response is very cheerful, it's very hyped, it's very bullish. Versus if you publicly say that you survived a bear market, nobody really gives a shit. And I think this is one of the least talked about things in our industry. And as a company owner and contributor who 4 years ago, it was just myself making videos. Now I run 3 companies, 3 organizations with 12 plus members across the board and contractors and service providers that we have. I'm now witnessing crypto as an industry in a very different light, right? And I also really value runway. And that's one thing that I think in the next bull run, I definitely have to do a lot better job at, is to financially plan and structure a runway that makes it a lot easier for us as well to survive times like these, because the last year, 2 years have been brutal, to be very honest. And I think you can also tell by the number of startups that are failing, that are giving up, that are surrendering, which I totally understand, because it is a very tough industry and a very fast moving industry. So it can be very brutal sometimes, but nonetheless, we're still there, even though you can see by the numbers, viewership is going down, the engagement is going down, sentiment is ultra low, our assets under delegations are going down because the token prices in dollar terms are just melting. So it is definitely tough times, but I'm still very convinced and committed to this industry, committed to all our companies and projects, and committed to Cosmos, right? And I question my own thesis over and over again, but I still truly believe in Cosmos now more than ever. And I guess at this point, I'm a ride or die cosmonaut. You might say the line between deep conviction and delusion is very thin, and that's true. It's probably also very blurry, but I guess in crypto, you kind of have to be at least a little bit delusional to take this huge bet on an early stage industry and an early stage ecosystem within that industry to be able to survive. And I think that's my personal mentality, my personal thought process on how I approach these things. And I might not be right all the time, definitely not right all the time. And in fact, today I also want to talk about a couple of coins that I am completely writing off. Some coins that I have the feeling that are not going to make it through this bear market. They might still pump in the future because of the meme factor, but nonetheless, I think there's still no fundamental reason to hold or invest in those coins anymore. Anyways, we're going to look into that. I want to start off with the mother of all coins in Cosmos, the flagship chain and coin that has been declared dead many times over the years and is probably the most cooked coin in crypto, one of the most cooked coins that has a very negative sentiment still now, even though 6 months ago we gave a rebirth to the Cosmos Hub and Atom. We gave a rebirth to Cosmos, the Cosmos brand. And I think you can see also by the on-chain metrics that the bonded ratio for Atom in that case has gone up only. I remember doing videos in December of last year where I was a bit concerned about the bonded ratio for Atom just being in an absolute freefall, mass undelegations happening. The ratio went from above 60% to below 54%. Well, since the Skip acquisition happened, we saw the bonded ratio for Atom going up only. And that is a strong sign of investor confidence. That is a strong sign that people are buying, accumulating, and locking up their atoms, assuming that they're unfamiliar with the liquid staking module, where you could instantaneously liquefy their staked assets. But assuming they're not familiar with that tool, which I think most people aren't, this is a very strong sign. And I think considering that Atom has a 16% APR, not even APY, APR, I think that holding Atom at the levels of $4.20, which is where it is right now, and still in the top 60, which again, going back to my intro rant about surviving, Atom managed to survive. And that is one thing that Atom has an advantage over other newer coins, which there's many I'm also very bullish on. But Atom has time on the market, it's battle tested, it's overcooked so much that it can't die, in my opinion, anymore. Because it's been dead so many times, it just can't die. And still there with a new team now that has a 10-year plus runway, actually a lot more than that, 40 plus people working on it, and a clear game plan to make Atom great again, and to also make Atom an economic hub in Cosmos, because so far Atom has only been a staking chain, a security provider chain, also a chain that just gives decent airdrops and staking rewards, but now they want to build economic activity also with the deployment of the EVM. Permissionless EVM is coming on the Cosmos Hub. Also, Spoofik asking, what does the Cosmos Eco bring to the space? Would love a deep dive. And just on top of my head, also everything in this video today is on top of my head. This video is not scripted. I just woke up this morning and I thought I have to make this type of video because right now I feel like we are at a point where it's either you are a cosmonaut or you're not. And I think now you have to take that decision. Do I ride or die with this ecosystem? Do I still believe in it? Do I have deep conviction? Do I still place my bets here, or do I move on, right? And I'm not saying you have to be all in on Cosmos. Obviously, you can, you probably should hold Bitcoin in your portfolio, Ethereum in your portfolio, maybe even Solana and some other coins, right, that are also hedging your bets. I also have non-Cosmos coins in my ecosystem. Can mention that a bit later. But what Cosmos has is a highly respected developer ecosystem, over 100 sovereign layer 1 blockchains that are all interconnected through the inter-blockchain communication protocol, the most battle-tested interop protocol with IBC that's been in production now for 4 years, and has routed billions in volume and is still doing that on a monthly basis. Same for the community. If you look at the Atom community today, the Cosmos community, those guys that are still around today, they are definitely not here because they are making a lot of money right now. They're paid by anyone. They're here because they have this deep fundamental conviction. And I think there's a lot of us that are still here that have this fundamental belief. And that shows that there's a core community, a hardcore community, almost cult-like. I'm not a big fan of cults. Obviously, this is something that, crypto people really glorify. But anyways, you can say cult-like, whatever. I think this fundamental community being there is very, very strong. Survived black swans. If you think back, the Terra collapse was catastrophic in hindsight, drained all the liquidity across the board, even though it has proven the upchain thesis, which meant, Terra collapsing did not affect uptime on the Cosmos Hub or any other chain, but it did affect liquidity across the board, especially the collapse of UST, and also survived deep bear markets. However, it also created category leaders like Celestia for modularity, Babylon for Bitcoin staking, Say Network for parallel EVM execution. Across the board, you see in the RWA space, in the AI space with Fetch and the ASI, those are all Cosmos chains. And there's actually a brand new one that was just announced that is also making use of Cosmos technology. So that is that. And for the first time now, we have a foundation, the Interchain Foundation, or Interchain Labs, the operational arm of the Interchain Foundation, previously known as Skip Protocol, that is committed to shaping the future of Atom, but also to deliver a cohesive roadmap, which also means IBC, the Cosmos SDK, the Cosmos EVM, previously known as Evmos, which also got open source now and renamed into Cosmos EVM, and also just economic activity that is now being accelerated across the board, basically attracting debt developers and driving volumes and economic revenue and activities across the board. So that is why I'm still bullish, and that is why I'm home and native and betting on this ecosystem, because I also feel like there's other ecosystems are struggling as much as Cosmos is right now, because there's just the nature of a deep bear market. And you see a lot of split ups in leadership, a lot of restructuring. If you look at Polygon, right? Mihailo left, a lot of the leadership left. Now it's basically Sandeep, the only one that is there and the main leader in Polygon, right? You saw a similar thing in the Ethereum Foundation, in Polkadot, right? I think Gavin stepped back. Now he's more active again, but there was also a lot of leadership changes and maybe also differences in opinions and directions where this is going. But anyways, now I want to go through a list of tokens that I am still holding, that I'm bullish on, some of which I bought even. Yesterday I made a bit of a purchase round. The Cosmos Hub and Atom is one that I still have in my portfolio, of course. In coin count, at least, is at an all-time high. I am a big believer still, of course, even though I think, and I've said this before, holding Atom is a must if you want to invest in the Cosmos ecosystem, but it's probably not enough. Like I would feel uncomfortable if I say I want to invest in Cosmos to only hold Atom, which might change in the future because now the Interchain Labs team is working on actually making the Cosmos Hub a true hub, which hasn't been the case for the past years, but now in the future might actually become the case. Anyways, the Cosmos Hub and Atom still in my portfolio, still very bullish because you can see most diversified, most liquid, most battle tested, listed on all exchanges, and is still there, right? It's still in the top 60, while a lot of the Cosmos Hub killers just either didn't make it or are just premature or just pivoted to different directions. The APR also still at 16%. As I mentioned, I think this is also a strong case. Then we have Osmosis, which is a bit of a problem child, and I have criticized or pointed out, I would say, not criticized, but pointed out that I'm a bit confused to what Osmosis stands for in 2025. Is it an IBC hub? Somebody commented OsmoPay, they should run with that narrative. Then is it a DeFi hub? Is it all about Polaris now? Is it all about Bitmosis now? Like what is the one thing that Osmosis represents, that Osmosis identifies with? And that's the question. Here it says Interchain AMM, like it doesn't even mention anything about Polaris or Bitmosis. Anyways, they have a lot of changes coming with their tokenomics. led by the foundation to a massively low inflation, which is currently at 6%. And to be honest, I'm not sure if that's going to change much to bring inflation down by a lot. I think they should really work on the demand side, right? To also pitch Osmo to investors, family funds, the big money, and create a narrative, having a unified, cohesive narrative around that. Also an economic plan on how Osmo will generate revenue. I think that that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, maybe inflation is definitely part of this, but yeah, we'll see. I bought some more Osmo actually yesterday. That's one of the coins I bought, around 14 cents. So yeah, pretty much at that current price. Then Akash Network AKT, one of the biggest bags in my portfolio, because I bought a lot in the 2022-23 bear market, which actually is kind of still ongoing. But bought a lot here, like 20, 25 cents, been staking, compounding that over the years. Staking APR currently at 10%, which I think is still good. Market leader, I would say, for compute. So I think that's an AI play. And yeah, I think that industry vertical as a whole is just up only. They also just held their Akash Accelerate conference in New York, which was a big success. Shout out Amanda, great job. Also Adam, Greg, of course, and the whole Akash team. Big team, strong leadership, unified vision, OG Cosmos coin, OG chain, and I'm a big believer in Akash. Sentinel is one that is probably a super low cap coin. Absolute OG. They pivoted from Ethereum to Cosmos years ago. Very, very, I would say, low market cap, thin liquidity relative to Atom and Akash and Osmo. But I think Sentinel has a strong product market fit with the application. I just want to highlight that, right? I haven't bought any new Sentinel dVPN. I bought a lot like a couple years ago, which I'm still down very, very bad. I think I'm down 89%. And by the way, I haven't looked at my portfolio at my numbers like for the past 3 months, so I'm not sure where it stands now, but I think I'm still down bad. But I appreciate Sentinel being very product oriented. So if you look at daily active users, you can actually see Sentinel currently with 14,500 ranked first. And those are definitely interesting numbers, right? I'm not sure what the volumes are. I mean, if you look at the IBC volumes, it's still low, but in terms of what economic value is flowing there on the applications, how much revenue it generates, I think this is still a number I haven't really looked at. But yeah, over 100K monthly active users. So I think definitely interesting to see that they have some traction, that they're still there and they're still building. They also were just at this Sovereign EVM Day event in Cannes, which was organized by Interchain Labs. So yeah, Sentinel is still one I hold in my portfolio, but I haven't really bought more. Stride, another one that is relatively OG. I mean, they launched in like 2022, 23. But now with their pivot to basically build out Stride DEX, the native DEX on the Cosmos Hub, and also basically moving away a little bit from liquid staking. Also, this AI agents platform that they have built was sunset, and also their liquid staking for Berachain. They also sold that to BakerDAO. We covered that in the last video. But yeah, Stride team, very bullish. And then after, you also have to think about, going back to my intro again, surviving in a bear, you also have to bet on people that are truly committed and are unified in their vision, right? Teams that are going through these times. And I think the Stride team is one of them. Also, of course, now they received investment from Interchain Labs, so that also definitely helps with runway. And they also have an aggressive burn mechanism now to still make sure that the STRD token has economic value, right? So the STRD token is not going away, which is why I think it's also an interesting coin to look at. And I bought this, the last purchase I made for Stride. I think I bought it a couple of weeks ago, a little bit. I'm not sure if I swapped it from some other token or whatever, but the investment I made was at $1. So I'm down bad. Like this was January 2024. I'm still down bad on that one. But yeah, this is Stride. I'm still bullish. And let's see. I still hold all my STRD tokens. Got a lot of airdrops over the years. We always cover that here. And yeah, that's right. Definitely want to look at. Then Injective, another OG coin that has been around for a long time and is also going to implement the EVM now alongside CosmWasm, which CosmWasm, we talked about it also in the last video, is going to be, stop basically the core organization that was maintaining it, Confio, that also invented it. They are ending maintenance for it. I think JP from Torchain or Rogera, he mentioned that he's still like doubling down on that. But we'll see where this is going. Then Neutron also still has CosmWasm and some other chains. But Injective also now integrated the EVM on testnet, mainnet coming next. Also, they have a lot of economic activity and volumes and tokenized stocks and iBuild that they launched for deploying contracts much more easily. So that's also one that's still interesting. 15% staking APR, I think. I do have a relatively small bag with INJ. We are running a validator with Cito, by the way, on, I guess, most of the chains I'm talking about today. And even though we dropped out briefly, we're now back in. So I really appreciate each and everyone who's delegating to us. Obviously, more delegations would help us to have a bit more space to the floor. But anyways, glad we're still in the set. And Let me know also if you want to have an update on Injective, because I think there's a lot of things that are cooking. Maybe an interview with Eric or just an ecosystem deep dive here. But Injective also one I still think is going to do well. And the same counts for Celestia, believe it or not. But I think Celestia, a lot of things went wrong on Celestia. And we're going to have a video coming up soon where we break down the tokenomics entirely, where we also dissect the ecosystem and some of the economics, right? And the state of Celestia. And we also cover like what went wrong and some of the plans for the future, right? Because right now there's this idea floating around for Celestia to entirely get rid of proof of stake, which would mean the inflation would go to near zero, but then also to replace that with proof of governance, right? Which is a big idea, I would say, and probably still takes a lot of time to actually go on mainnet if it ever goes through. And also the question is like, how would that look like exactly? But yeah, TIA is one that I have actually bought yesterday. So yesterday I bought some more Osmo, I bought some more Atom as well. And also I bought some more Celestia, some more TIA. And also because huge runway, big team, Gigabrain founder. I think the only thing they really need to figure out is the economics and also the tokenomics. Because one of the main criticisms for buying the TIA token is the fact that a lot of the early VCs have contributed heavily to sell pressure. I think one of the lead investors was a Paradigm or Polychain. I think one of them, they have sold off tens of millions, probably even like hundreds of millions. Let's say tens of millions in staking rewards, because staking rewards were not locked. And that was also one of the main reasons why crypto Twitter went crazy against investors being able to stake their tokens and then not have lockups on those staking rewards. So of course, VCs, for them, it's just a pure numbers game. If they do a 10, 20, 30, 50x, or even like a 3x, they will just sell that to get their money back, their invested capital, right? Anyways, Celestia TIA, I bought some more at around, actually I call it a decent entry here, 135, at least a local bottom. Of course, this can go below $1 now at this point in this market sentiment with everything that's around it. But Celestia also has a lot of things cooking. One of them is the Lotus upgrade that is coming, interoperability via Hyperlane, and also a decrease of 1/3 of the inflation. So they're also massively decreasing the inflation on TIA. Then we have Dydx, which I also bought yesterday. So Dydx is another one. And I think Dydx lost a lot of momentum and market shares to Hyperliquid. But I had a call with them yesterday as well. They're now aggressively pushing to regain market shares, and they're incentivizing on all ends. If you look at Kaito, then they have an affiliate boost campaign, which I also invite you to use the top link in the video description, because we're also participating in the boost campaign. And if you sign up there, we also might be considered for a boost in denominated in USDC on a weekly basis. So if you use that link, we're also contributing to support this channel. But nonetheless, I think Dydx is very, very interesting at those levels, considering that the ETH version of Dydx was at an all-time high of, I think, $20. So that's a 40x from here to the all-time high. And I always had a small Dydx back, but I wanted to increase it. So yesterday I just bought some more Dydx here. Remember, staking APR is also denominated in USDC. So 6% right now in USDC, which also think is quite decent. Now, getting more towards the newer categories, the newer generation of Cosmos coins, we have Saga, which also got a lot of headwind in the past year and a half. But I think that this is one of the newer coins that is going to do well, because again, same here, strong team, decent runway, true builders, has never seen a bull run. This is the thing about Saga. They have never seen a bull run. They started an absolute bear market. Of course, in the beginning, this was one of the low float, high FTV chains, which also meant, however, that everybody got a very, very decent airdrop. In the beginning, at least at $6, $7. And even now, if you're still getting the airdrop, I think you're getting decent amounts every single month. But yeah, Saga, again, hasn't seen a bull run. I think it's going to do well. Also has a lot of things cooking. One of them is the fact that their liquidity integration layer is up only. So their DeFi trading volumes are increasing. On weekly, they have almost $300 million in volume, which is an increase of 8% week over week, and a TVL of over $10 million. This was from a week and a half ago. So by now, I think it's probably even a lot higher than that. But yeah, Saga, I'm an early investor with Cito Ventures into Saga. Just for full disclosure, placed an investment here 3 years ago, somewhere in like mid 2022, over 3 years ago. And yeah, that's Saga. Then we have Nillion, another coin that is brand new, privacy AI field, right? And now also I think you have to think about different verticals, different categories that you're placing your bets in. 22% staking APR, which is decent at a 1% inflation. That's also because the bonded ratio is just very, very low. 30%, so you're not buying 30 cents, you're buying a lot less now than investors like us did. But I also just did an interview with Miguel de Vega, one of the co-founders, chief scientists, and also I'm in constant contact and exchange with Shem, big shout out, who's always keeping me posted on ecosystem updates and news. They also just had a major upgrade, the first one, and I think now we're going to see a lot of the applications. So Nillion is an app chain for privacy and AI, basically converging the two. Mostly it's an app chain for privacy, and now they're also building out native applications, of which Ticker is one of them that Shem shared with me. And this one looks very interesting because it's basically a trading platform where you can also copy trade without doxing your wallets. So you can basically copy trade public personas, Twitter personas, and they don't have to give away their wallet addresses, right? So you can see their win rate, their streak, their trust score, but you can't see their wallets. And I think this is definitely interesting to have a privacy layer integrated for trading, especially when it comes to, public facing accounts and people. I believe that this is definitely a very interesting concept. So Ticker is coming on Nillion. Then there's also a bunch of other applications they have mentioned here. Monadic DNA, enabling users to generate private DNA passports, Reclaim protocol, verifiable credentials, and also Mighty Network, integrating attested AI into on-chain agents. So they're building out this whole ecosystem of applications, and I think that is very, very much needed. Then, of course, Say, we had this interview with Jay the other day. It was amazing, and I think a lot of decent insights. They're laser focused on making the fastest EVM out there and attracting economic activity, volume, stablecoin liquidity, and everything is just exploding right now, an absolute all-time high. So I strongly encourage you to watch this interview I had with Jay. We also talked about his thoughts on Cosmos, why they're also migrating or moving away from Cosmos because they're replacing their consensus algorithm. They're also potentially going to at least sunset or end support for IBC v1. Hopefully they will integrate IBC v2. That would be good, but we'll see where this is going. And they will still probably maintain IBC connectivity through Hyperlane or Union or some of the other interoperability protocols like Axelar, for example. But yeah, anyways, this is coming, and Say very, very bullish. You can also see volumes, 420 million, up 37%, up only here, the volumes, especially in the past few weeks. So Say is pumping, and that's good to see. Then lastly, before we get into the coins of where I'm just personally writing off, and again, I might be wrong, and I also might be wrong with all my points and thoughts and theories around all the coins I just mentioned. Of course, there's no financial advice at all, and I've been wrong in the past. I will be wrong in the future, but I think overall, this is my conviction, my thesis. Now, Babylon Baby, category creator for Bitcoin staking, 20% staking APR, brand new chain, well respected, raised a lot of money, huge team, and I think we still haven't seen that Baby in a bull run. Also, they just announced the EVM is coming to Babylon as well, so they're also building out their native ecosystem of applications. I'm also an investor into Babylon, which, by the way, also counts for Say and Nillion. So Say, Nillion, Babylon, Saga as well. I have been an investor with Cito Ventures. You can also see that all public on my website, cito.zone, and then navigate to Cito Ventures, and you'll see all the investments I have there. Now, getting to the coins that I'm writing off. Number one, Juno Network, which also caused, I guess, a lot of the kind of split ups within our Cosmos ecosystem, a lot of controversy around governance, Prop 16, if you remember that, and just overall a lot of split ups between core contributors, right? Because originally Juno was founded by Jake Hardnell, by Jacob Gadikian, Jack Zampolin was there, Wolf was there, Dimi, and many core contributors from different organizations, right? So I think in hindsight, obviously that didn't work out. What it did in the beginning, though, it had this huge honeymoon phase where it went to $45, a multi-billion-dollar valuation. It was the star of Cosmos. Now, I'm not sure who is working on Juno nowadays. I think everyone pretty much abandoned it. I still have all my Juno. I don't even want to look at it. And this is definitely one that I'm writing entirely off. Of course, this thing can still pump because of the meme factor, but I'm not betting on it. And I'm just writing off my Juno investments, but maybe let me know if I'm missing anything here. Anyways, Evmos, another one that I'm entirely writing off. This one, now with the open sourcing of the EVM OS code base, now called Cosmos EVM. So just a bit of a background, because someone also asked in the comments in the last video. Evmos started as Ethermint in like 2016-17, like when Cosmos basically started, right? Then when the Cosmos Hub launched, Fede, the founder of Evmos, he wanted to push Ethermint, which was an unfinished code base, over the finish line and revive the project, right? So he took Ethermint, got some funding from the Cosmos Hub community pool, and then renamed it into Evmos, which in the beginning was an open source, permissionless smart contract platform, EVM based, but then never really got much traction, sufficient traction to survive. Again, going back to surviving is the most underrated achievement. Then they put a license on the Evmos code base, and they sold, I think, a lot of integrations. And you can see the Evmos or Ethermint framework is one of the most adopted across the board. So they have definitely shipped solid tech that's used widely in all of crypto, many chains, like Kronos, for example. But then I think founder drama, internals, all these things didn't work out. Then when Interchain Labs basically saw that opportunity, I think I'm not sure if they paid a fee or something, but they basically got the Evmos team to remove that license and to basically hand over the maintenance and core development now to Interchain Labs, which is what is the case right now. And then they renamed it into Cosmos EVM, which will be deployed on a Cosmos hub and was also deployed into the Ripple XRP Ledger sidechain, developed by Pierces, another tech company contributed to Ripple mainly. So they have taken also the Cosmos EVM and deployed that as an XRP Ledger sidechain, also built on a Cosmos SDK. And there will be more, right? I think TAC, which is a Telegram project or interoperability between Telegram and Cosmos, they also deployed a Cosmos EVM. So Evmos tech continues to live, but the Evmos token, I'm entirely writing off. And that's also a huge loss for me. I think you can see 99.9%, 3.5 million FTV. Haven't heard a word from anyone there. I think, yeah, this chain is pretty much done. And lastly, also Archway, which I never really had large holdings. I got the airdrop and I think I've sold that, but I'm not sure what is cooking there. But if you look at the stats, I think, yeah, only has a few million in FTV. I'm not sure what the development is here nowadays. What are the killer applications? I think they have this permissionless Cosmos contract framework that was originally the pitch though, but not sure what is cooking there. So Archway, Evmos, Juno, those are three that I'm entirely writing off. But then again, there's a lot of new chains in Cosmos, and I think Cosmos 2025 is very, very different to Cosmos 2021, 2022. Of course, crypto changes a lot. Cosmos landscape changes a lot. There's a lot of new chains, right? And there's many others I haven't mentioned. There's many others that are probably also going to do very well that I just, didn't mention. Again, I haven't prepared this video a lot. This is just on top of my head. I woke up, I thought I have to make this type of video because I think now is the time where if you are still around in Cosmos, then you probably know all of this already. But if you're just coming back or want to get an update on the state of the ecosystem, which coins are still there, are still surviving, which ones are struggling or just dead, they're just not there anymore. No development, no runway, no core contributors, nothing. But anyways, if you want to keep track of our portfolios, our team portfolios. For our Cito Plus members, Tang, Sebmos, and myself, we're updating every now and then our portfolio movements. So I actually have to make an update on mine now. And this is being made public or made available to Cito Plus members, which is a platform, a premium community platform. We can sign up. That's also one of the products we launched around 6 months ago. And we have a very, very engaged community. I really love the Cito Plus community. We also have campaigns there for Cito Plus members. We get exclusive whitelist slots. We get, prize pools also for people to create content, specifically also for Cito Plus members through Cito Earn. So that's all coming. By the way, also forgot to mention earlier that with Dydx, we also have something cooking and also with 2 other projects. So stay tuned, stay subscribed to this channel. Go on Cito.zone and check out the Cito Earn campaign because we actually have a lot of exciting things that are coming here. One of the campaigns that is currently ongoing that you can still participate and have a decent chance to win a decent prize pool, 2,000 USDC, 1,000 Osmo, and 3 mad scientists. You can create content on Polaris, right? And that can be a video, that can be a Twitter thread, that can be a blog post, anything. And you're considered in that competition, right? And we'll have more of these coming, actually with hopefully even larger prize pools, because I think right now is also time, if you love creating content or consuming content, but you think like, I could also create content, I could make videos, then I think that this is a perfect entry point for you to also get immediate feedback and also to be noticed and to also earn and get compensated for your content, for your efforts. So make organic quality content and has organic reach and you'll win money. That's what it is, right? And I think I wish something like this existed a couple years ago in Cosmos. I wish something like this had more visibility and also more support from the ecosystem, because I think that this is a very, very strong onboarding funnel into the ecosystem. If you look at what Solana Super Team is doing with their Super Team Earn, I think it's also called Super Team Earn, then I think this is something Cosmos should take note of, right? And really double down on that. And Super Team entirely as a project is massively successful with their Earn campaigns, but also with their event campaigns, right? All over the world. And they have built a huge incentive mechanism around it, led by the Solana Foundation, right? So this is definitely something that I think Cosmos can take note of. I want to also end this video with a very bullish piece of news, which is the fact that Tether has announced Stablechain, which is the USDT chain. And this chain is actually using CometBFT, at least for now. They're using CometBFT. Eventually, they also will pull a similar move like Say Network, at least that's in their docs, where they are going to implement Autobahn consensus. But for now, this is CometBFT consensus, which also means IBC compatibility should be very, very easy. I'm not sure if this will have IBC compatibility, but it would be very bullish. We have Noble, the native asset issuance chain for USDC. Hopefully now we have Stable, the native asset issuance chain for Tether, that are both using Cosmos technology. And I think that's a big win. And we're going to see where this is going. By the way, there's also another coin that I think barely anyone is talking about. And that coin is in the top 18 called Leo, which, if you look at the chart, is absolutely crazy. This coin just never dumps. And this is a coin by Bitfinex, which is basically the parent or sister organization to Tether. So there's close ties there. I think this is, again, the least talked about coin in crypto, but has an almost $10 billion market cap. And I think this so far has been the Tether coin, basically the USDT coin. But now let's see how that coexists with Stablechain, and to what degree Leo and the Leo token is still kind of connected to all of that. But I'll keep you posted. Finally, very last thing, which probably gives a bit of hopium for all alt season believers, which I include myself to be one of them. And that is the Bitcoin dominance. If you look since 2022, Bitcoin dominance has been going up only. And at one point, it will turn around. It will fall off a cliff like it did in January of 2021 for an entire year. It bottomed out here in January 2022. It went on a free fall for 5 months and then still went down, which meant this was alt season, right? And like, especially between January and May, this was alt season 2021. So since then, we have only seen Bitcoin running, but I still believe at one point, Bitcoin dominance is going to top out and then will go down only, fall off a cliff. And that's where you have to be in alts, right? And obviously right now, I've been saying this for a long time, we can still go low with alts. Atom can still go below $3. TIA can still go below $1. Osmo can still go below 10 cents, right? And Osmo, I think, again, also has some identification issues, but there's other coins that can still go a lot lower. But quality coins, I think, stacking them at those levels, and the lower they go, stack them more. DCAing into alts, I think, is at least what I'm doing, what I have been doing for the past years. But of course, I can also be horribly wrong. All altcoins go to zero, only Bitcoin survives. Can also be the case. I don't believe it, but yeah, just putting out that counter theory as well. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video a bit longer today. Let me know your thoughts on some of these coins. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Am I horribly wrong on my assumptions, my thoughts? And I'll see you in the next video here on Cryptocito. Until then, stay safe and be good.